Good morning, students. Good morning to all. And last day we have studied about the state level institutions for the industrial sectors, and at last we have studied the monetary policies. Today also just we will remind what we have studied on last day, and we will go to the new concepts. So the monetary policies. So the monetary policy is the macroeconomic policies being laid down by the central bank towards the management of supply and interest rate. So the supply of money and fixing the interest rate only is mostly considered about the monetary policies. So why we are saying the monetary policy is the macroeconomic policies means. So the macro level undertakings are depending upon the money oriented. So the monetary policy is the macroeconomic policies. It is laid down by the central banks for the purpose of management of supply of money and the interest rate. And we have studied the monetary policies. In these monetary policies, the two type of the policies are there. One is the expansionary policies and the contractionary policies. The expansionary policies also called as a cheap money policies. The contractionary policies is called as a dear money policies. So when you are reading the name itself, you can easily understand what's the meaning of cheap money policies. So the expansionary policy, otherwise the cheap money policy, will be implemented when a monetary authority uses its tools to stimulate the economy. For the purpose of stimulate the economy, the Reserve Bank of India will be implementing the cheap money policies. So the cheap money policy means just fixing the rate of interest at the lower rate. So we have studied the basis of trade cycles. So in the basis of trade cycles, the economy will meet the period of recessions. Suppose if the economy is being in the recession period, so the government have to taking the more effort to maintaining or recovering from the recession period. So what can we do? So the Reserve Bank of India will be fixing the low rate of interest on the loans provided by the commercial banks. So now the commercial bank will be lending the money to the entrepreneurs and to the consumers in very low rate of interest. So by the way of low rate of interest, so all the entrepreneurs and the consumers also can have the power or interested to borrow the money. So whenever they borrowing the money, they can easily establish any of the industries by the entrepreneurs. And the consumers also will have the more power to purchasing any of the commodity what they want. So because of that, their purchasing power will be increased. And not only that, whenever the purchasing power of the consumers has to going increase, the demand for that commodity also will be increased. So the supply of commodity automatically will be increased, and whatever benefit will be arised because of fixing the low rate of interest, it will be appears. So the job employment opportunity will be created, and more advantages will come from the cheap money policies. Next, contractionary policies, otherwise dear money policies. So the dear money policies means it's very rare to borrow the money from the commercial banks. So when the time of inflations, so the government must be taking the actions to control the supply of money. So how the Reserve Bank of India will be controlling the supply of money means, so one of the is the implementing of one of the dear money policies. So the dear money policies means, so the Reserve Bank of India will be fixing the rate of interest at higher level in the loans provided by the commercial banks. So when the Reserve Bank of India and the commercial banks also fixing the higher rate of interest on the financial or the lending loans to the entrepreneurs and the consumers, it will be reduced, because the entrepreneurs and the consumers also will not get the interest to borrow the money on the high rate of interest. So when the rate of interest is in high, so the entrepreneurs and the individual persons also will never borrow the money from the banks. So what money or how much amount of money is already existing or already circulate in our nations, that much amount only will be in circulate. So the new currency will not get the consumers and the entrepreneurs, and automatically the production level will be reduced, and the consumer also will be stopped to purchasing more commodities. So normally the supply will be come to the control, and the demand also will be come to the control, and the purchasing power of the people also will be reduced. Then automatically the demand and the supply also will be meet equally. So as to meet the equilibrium on the supply of commodity and the demand of the commodity, the Reserve Bank of India will be implementing or keeping the implementations in our nations. And also we have studied the objectives of monetary policies. So what are the objectives are there in this monetary policies mean? First one is neutrality of money. The economists like Wickstead, Hayek and Robertson are the chief exponents of neutral economy. So the Reserve Bank of India, by using the monetary policies, it will come to the circulation of money in the neutrality. They hold the view that monetary authority should aim at neutrality of money in the economy. So monetary changes could be the root cause of all economic fluctuation. So if they want to bring in the economic fluctuations, they must bring the circulation of money under the control. So one of the objectives of monetary policy is bringing the circulation of money in the neutrality. Next, exchange rate stability. The exchange rate stability was the traditional objective of the monetary authority, because the exchange rate stability only will be improve the economic development. So every nations also want to have the reasonable or the positive exchange rate stability. So this was the main objectives under the gold standard among the different countries. So when there is disequilibrium in the balance of payment of the country, it was automatically corrected by the movements, by the import and export. So if you want to stabilizing the exchange rate, so all the nations have to bring the monetary policies. So all the nations must be corrected their exchange rate stability and the tools of monetary policies. Next, price stability. So economists like Gustav Castle and Keynes suggested price stabilization as a main objective of monetary policies. So price stabilization is one of the important macroeconomy policy also. So price stability is considered as the most important objectives of the monetary policies. So the stable prices repose the public confidence. It promotes business activity and ensures equitable distributions of income and wealth. So when there is proper price stability only, so the exchange rate also will be in same or stabilizations. Next, full employment. So during World Depressions, the problem of unemployment had increased rapidly. It was regarded as socially dangerous, economically wasteful, and morally deplorable. So if there is no employment opportunity in our nations, it will be leads more dangerful characters among the peoples. So the peoples will fall down in the poverties. So to recovering from the poverty, they will do some of the immoral discipline activities. So with the publication of Keynes' general theory of employment, interest and money in 1936. The objectives of full employment gained full support as the chief objective of monetary policies. So the monetary policies, by implementing the monetary policies, only we can bring the full employment level. Because by the monetary policies, they can implementing the cheap money or the dear money policies. So when they are implementing the cheap money policies, so all the entrepreneurs can have the power to borrow the money from the commercial bank. Because of that, they can establish the new industries and the employment also will be increased. So by implementing the monetary policies only, we can achieve the full employment level. Next, economic growth. So economic growth is the process whereby the real per capita income of the country increases over a long period of time. Suppose if there is no economic growth or if there is no per capita income, so we cannot consider the economic growth. It implies an increase in the total physical or real output. So the production of goods for the satisfaction of the human wants. If you are considering one of the nations are having the full economic growth, so the nations must be increase the total physical or real output and the production of the goods for the satisfaction of human wants. So what are the goods are being in more demanded? The demanded commodity must be produced by the producers and consumed by the consumers. So therefore, monetary policy should promote sustained and continuous economic growth by maintaining the equilibrium between the total demand for money and total production capacity and further creating the favorable condition for saving and investment. So when we are maintaining the saving and investment, so we can bring the economic growth. And when we are maintaining the equilibrium between the total demand and the money, and the total demand for the commodity and demand for the supply for the commodities also, we can bring the economic growth. Next, equilibrium in the balance of payment. So all the nations, every nations want to maintaining the equilibrium in the balance of payment. So when we are paying the amount for another nations, when we are involving in this international trade, so we will get some amount of the money, foreign currencies, and we have to pay to the Indian currencies for the other nations. So the payment between the two nations has to be equilibrium. So normally, if it is possible, not a matter, but by the way of any of the problem, if you are not able to bringing the payment as a balance level, so it will be harmful to the economic growth. So by implementing the proper monetary policies, we can easily bring the equilibrium of the balance of payment by providing the tax policies and by implementing the new financial or the fiscal policies. So we can bringing the equilibrium level in the balance of payment. So the 6 objectives are there in the monetary policies. Next, recent advancement in banking sector. So now we are using the more advancement technique in this banking sector provided by the banking sector. So what are the recent advancement are implementing by the banking sectors? Or first one is e-banking. So e-banking is normally called as electronic banking or the online banking. So the online banking, also known as internet banking, is an electronic payment system that enables customers of a bank or other financial institutions to conduct a range of financial transactions through the financial institution's website. So now every bank also has the separate banking website. So without going to the bank directly, so all the customers and the entrepreneurs can able to transaction their deposits and the money transaction by using the electronic banking. The online banking system typically connects to or be the part of the core banking system. Core banking system means it will be provided by the Reserve Bank of India only. So we can easily connect all the banking and we can easily transact our money from one bank to another one of the bank by using the e-banking services. Next, RTGS and NEFT. So RTGS and NEFT mean the real-time gross settlement. The RTGS mean real-time gross settlement, and the NEFT is considered as a National Electronic Fund Transfers. So the interbank transfer enables the electronic transfer of funds from the account of the remitter in one bank to the account of the beneficiary maintained with any other bank branch. Now, when we are using the electronic banking, we can transaction the money by the same bank only. But by using the RTGS and NEFT, we can transact the money from one bank to another one of the bank. In this, both type of the facilities is provided by the Reserve Bank of India only. So the NEFT operates in half-hourly batches. So currently there are 23 settlements from 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. on all working days, including working on Saturdays. So it can able to transact the money on the basis of the time period. So daily it has the 23 settlements only we can do it. But in the real-time gross settlement, we can transact the money from 6:30 a.m. and 7 p.m. batches. So how many times we can transact the money by using the NEFT, we can easily settle. So in this NEFT, the transaction happens in batches. So on the batches wise only, so the transactions will be happen. So the transaction level will be in slow only. But in this RTGS, the transaction on the RTGS, so the transaction will be happens in the real time. So suppose if you are transacting any of the amount to the other banks, the other account holder of the other bank, so on the real time itself, it will be possible. So in this NEFT,